The pre-sale for badges to the Rose City ComicCon is underway. It's coming to the Oregon Convention Center September 6th through 8th, and this year's lineup is stacked. Hayden Christensen, aka Anakin Skywalker, will be there, so will Rosario Dawson from movies like Death Proof, Sin City, and Men in Black 2, and Simon Pegg from Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz. Freaking Simon Pegg! Plus a ton of cast members from your favorite shows and movies, along with your favorite comic book artists, authors, and so much more. Go buy your badges now at rosecitycomiccon.com. Portland Spirit has teamed up with Cliff Barackman, star of Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot, to create a truly unique Northwest experience, the Bigfoot Adventure Cruise. On this 3.5-hour jet boat tour, you'll explore the history of local sightings of Bigfoot while traveling 80 miles round trip from Portland to Multnomah Falls. You'll see famous landmarks in the Columbia River Gorge while also listening to exclusive narration by Cliff Barackman, recorded just for this cruise. Now, this cruise is offered daily except Tuesday through the end of September. So if you haven't done a jet boat cruise, now is the time. You can go see the schedule and book tickets at portlandspirit.com. As many of you know, the Portland International Airport has been under construction since 2019. But this Wednesday, all those detours and dusty floors that were part of the $2.1 billion renovation are coming to an end. And in celebration of PDX's August 14th grand opening of its new terminal, we're revisiting a conversation we had with the guy in charge of this massive renovation project. So today on CityCast Portland, we're talking with Christopher Neal, director of PDX Next Operations for the Port of Portland. In our chat back in April, Chris let us know what to expect from this expansion and shared some details about a certain carpet possibly making a comeback. It's Monday, August 12th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. Well, thank you so much for spending some of your morning with us. First question, just right off the bat, why do we need to spend $2 billion on upgrades to the airport?
Yeah, I can do that. There's a lot of reasons why we need to, and I can't wait to talk about all the hows. But two that I'll cover right now. Number one is capacity. So if anybody's ever been in a mosh pit before, if we didn't grow the airport, that's what it would feel like going through the airport here in the next 10, 15 years or so. So capacity was a big deal. We needed to get bigger, and we're getting about 1.5 times, about 40% bigger. The second one I'll talk about is flexibility. So I'm sure everybody can remember the good old days where you could walk, a family member all the way to the gate and press your face up against the window and wave by on the airplane, all that. That stuff is long gone, of course, after 9/11. And so TSA shows up, and you've got airports all around the country now that are trying to, jam these TSA lanes and checkpoint spaces, things like that, in places that were never originally intended. And then not too long ago, of course, we had COVID, where airports had to get extremely flexible on how to deal with that when it came with spacing and stuff like that. And then the third, I think I said I do too, but I got a third that just popped in my mind that's super important, especially here in Portland, and that's seismic resiliency.
Right.
So, the airport's on sand, and that doesn't work out well, God forbid, when, the Cascadia, all that type of stuff. The oldest building is a 1956 building, and it's right in the middle of the airport. And so back in 1956, obviously, the building codes weren't what they are today. So we needed to upgrade that for seismic, and so we've done that as well. So those are three reasons.
Wow. I'd never thought about the seismic resiliency aspect, and I think about that a lot because I am a worrywart when it comes to the earthquake. I'm always just like, we're all going to slide into the river and then blow up,
Yeah, just come to the airport. You'll be safe. You'll be safe.
That's so good to hear. I also love a good mosh pit reference. So thank you for that. What are the big picture things that are going to be different once this new terminal opens? I keep seeing these beautiful pictures of this roof, but what else, aside from the roof, is going on with this terminal?
Yeah. So, oh my gosh. I mean, a lot of things. The one word you'll hear me say throughout this interview is local. We are local, local, local. I mean, we decided to use Pacific Northwest people and Pacific Northwest materials to build this airport. And we will definitely get to the roof, I'm sure. But I mentioned the three with capacity. Another thing that we're doing is also environmental things. So even though we are growing the airport by 40%, we're going to cut our energy usage intensity by 50% in half. So I can do that again. 40% bigger, but cutting our energy in half. And the way we're doing that is with this ground source system. So we'll be able to heat and cool the building using water underground.
That's so cool.
That's crazy. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like that's like old technology too.
Yeah, just taking it back.
I love it.
Yeah.
Quick question for me, because now I'm just still thinking about this seismic thing. The seismic retrofit, is it just for the new wing or is it going all across the airport?
Yeah, the entire new terminal.
So I need to be in that new terminal when it hits, is what I'm hearing.
You need to be in the new terminal. We also got a third floor of the rental car center. There's also seismic resiliency there as well. So a lot of the buildings that we have built do have seismic resiliency built in.
Gotcha.
Going forward. Yeah.
You were talking about a lot of local artisans and local materials. Something that I read was that the carpet, our beloved PDX carpet, is coming back. Like, I feel like that we should have opened with that one, really.
Yeah, everybody asks me about that. Like, I go through the energy usage intensity, 40% bigger, all that stuff. Everybody cares about the carpet. Is the carpet coming back? The answer is yes. The OG throwback classic carpet is coming back. So there's going to be these little homages, if you will, these little pockets throughout the airport where the old school carpet is going to be. So foot selfies will continue into the future. I will also say, though, the majority will be a terrazzo flooring for a lot of reasons, roller bags and stuff like that. It'll be a whole lot easier. But when you work with the accessibility committee, they will tell you to think about wheelchairs.
Well, that seems well thought out. Why did you guys take away the carpet to begin with? This is now about the carpet, by the way. This interview has completely shifted. Why did it go? Was it because it was old or like what?
Yeah, you're talking about the original?
Yeah, the OG, yeah.
Yeah, the OG carpet. Yeah, why that original? I think it was that also it was getting harder to make, like the design of the company that was originally used, etc. So we put in a whole lot of effort to bring it back.
Well, what about amenities? Like any new restaurants? Like, I just want to know, can I eat there? Will there be snacks?
You can definitely eat there. We got 22 brand new restaurants, shops, etc. that are coming in. A couple points to note on this is the biggest one, at least in my mind, is 50% of these new shops, restaurants, news and gift are minority owned, women owned, veteran owned, etc. We have a shared prosperity mission here at the port, and it's not one that we just talk about. We actually put our money and our effort and our time into it to actually show it to you. 50% is a big deal. You don't just stumble into that when it comes to new shops and restaurants, things like that. The other big point, too, that people ask me about on this is street pricing, which will continue. Other airports, you go to the airport and a hamburger's $92. That's not the case here. So what you pay outside is what you pay inside. And then the big, right in the middle, when you walk in the front door, this will be pre-security up on our mezzanine level, is going to be the Loyal Legion. You heard of them?
Mm-mm.
That'll be one of the first big restaurant spots that you'll see. 99 taps, if that's interesting to you. I really only need one, but they got 98 more.
That's cool.
Yeah.
This new wing of the airport was supposed to open up in May, but the Port of Portland announced that the grand reopening was going to be delayed because of a few close calls with construction workers. Are you at all able to tell us more about what happened?
Yeah, well, I can tell you what happened. We put people over schedule, which is rare in big construction projects like this. Most time it's you focus on the money, you focus on schedule, and you just drive to get there. Earlier, I mentioned our shared prosperity mission. Safety is important. And we showed that in making this decision not too long ago. So we had some of our construction superintendents come and say, hey, some of these safety incidences that have been happening, part of that is because we're out here busting our butt every day. Thank God nobody got hurt or even got close to getting hurt. But, overall, we have a spectacular safety record with over 5 million man hours of work that's going on. And so you can imagine when you see that trend line starting to go the wrong way, regardless of if someone gets hurt or not, when you see that trend line going the wrong way like that, you have to make the decision on whether you're going to continue to force the schedule or put people first. And we chose to put people first.
You should maybe forward that plan to Boeing. You should explain to them how that works. So when is it going to open then?
Yeah, so we're still working through that. So as you mentioned, it was just a few weeks ago that we decided to, make the decision to do that. So we're working alongside with the entire airport community. So not just us, but, the Port of Portland's in there, Hoffman-Skanska is in there, TSA, FAA, airlines, everybody. We're all working together to look at when the new opening date should be. It will be this year. I'm not going to come back and say, it's 2026. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. And also I want to make clear, this is just phase one. So the new roof, all the photos, all that stuff that is on social media, all of that is phase one. We still also have phase two that we need to work on. So it's just phase one for right now that we're working.
How many phases, at what phase does it open?
Yeah. So there's phase one is the new terminal opening, like the main area that you've seen in all the photos.
Gotcha.
Phase two is what we call the nodes, and the nodes are post-security. So when you walk through the security checkpoint and then you're putting your shoes on, getting the jacket back on, collecting your kids up, keep them from running around, that's the node area, and that part is part of phase two.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only 2 phases. All right.
Yeah. Well, we laugh. There's a phase three when we're kind of sweeping all the nuts and bolts and stuff under the couch, like you do when you put IKEA furniture together. But
Chris, I don't want to see one bolt. I don't want to see one loose bolt in aviation anymore. All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we come back, we'll talk about some of the safety concerns that have come up not only at PDX, but just concerning flying in general. If you're a home DIYer like me, you might have some leftover paint gathering dust in your basement, but I'm happy to share that Paint Care has 3 simple rules for painting smarter, reducing waste, and helping you get back some of that much-needed storage space. First, buy the right amount of paint for the job. Paint Care has 6 questions to ask yourself when buying paint that can help ensure you have enough while minimizing waste. Second, you use up what's left. Before you break out the paintbrush and tape, see if you have any leftover paint that can save you a trip to the store. Paint Care's website also offers helpful tips for storing paint properly so it lasts for years. And third, if you still have paint, stain, or varnish left over, Paint Care makes it easy to recycle it with convenient drop-off locations as close as your local hardware store. And you can go learn more at paintcare.org/3simplerules.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. No. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
A lot of crazy things have happened at airports recently, PDX as well. A lot of it is just not on PDX, but there have been some issues with safety at PDX. I think it was last year where a Washington State representative was able to just walk in with a gun.
Yeah.
And it just came through. And Chris, I want you to know that usually TSA is so tight at PDX that I can't sneak in a bottle of wine. And I know this because I've tried it several times. And so I was actually more mad that they didn't find this gun. And I was and I was like, wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
my Pinot is just gonna get thrown out, but this gentleman gets a gun. I was curious, like, did anything, I know this is not your department, maybe perhaps,
Yeah.
but did anything come of that? Like, oh, this is why that happened, or like, this is how we're preventing more guns from coming in? Like, anything shake out from that investigation?
Yeah, TSA, I don't have a lot of details on the specific investigation. I will say, before I came to the airport, I was with TSA. So I need to give a shout out to my TSA cousins there. And they really do a great job. The statistics about flying are that it's still incredibly safe to fly, regardless of the things that are happening at the airport. And safety, I've mentioned it earlier, along with some of our other guiding principles, is super important for the airport. And we take it extremely seriously. And I do think it's important for everybody to also understand that the airport is more of a support role for groups like you mentioned, the gun, that's, TSA's environment there, the FAA who controls the skies, and then, of course, the airlines who are responsible for the planes and passengers taking off, landing safely, et cetera. So in the event of, like an emergency landing or something big like that, that's really where the airport itself comes into play. So when they need us for something that's within our wheelhouse, we're there.
Yeah, I would just wonder how much, like you've worked at TSA, so I know it's a separate thing, but we had a listener write in and he said, like, we were often audited by the FAA to see if our ramp agents and cleaning crews would catch hidden weapons during their cleanings. These same audits were performed on TSA as well, in which FAA would try and smuggle weapons through TSA to see if they get flagged. The results are utterly disturbing, to say the least. They failed these audits about 90% of the time at most airports. Again, this is like a guy writing in, so I can't be like, I Googled this 90%. Because I did make a whole thing. I was like, TSA feels like safety theater sometimes, Chris. It's a perception of us feeling safe.
Okay.
But once this gun incident happened, a lot of other numbers started coming out where they're just like, oh yeah, guns all the time. So
yeah,
I do worry sometimes because like my bottle of wine, Chris, is not going to hurt anyone. What if the TSA stopped looking for things that aren't going to hurt anyone and just focused all of their brain power on gun and bomb?
Yeah.
Have we thought about maybe telling them that?
Yeah, I got to stand up for those guys. Number
Okay, I
one,
wanna
that
hear it.
90% thing I wouldn't agree
It
with
seemed
that
a little wonky. Yeah.
at all. We used to, I'm not sure if we still do this. It would be important, I think. There would always be this annual news cycle that we would do with the local news where TSA would actually lay out a lot of the items that they actually find. And we used to do a segment on that. Maybe we should start that back up again, because you're right. If you don't see it, the only thing you see is your bottle of wine get taken. You don't necessarily see the potential IED, the gun, the throwing stars, Claudia. I mean, crazy stuff.
Well, another thing I wanted to ask, again, not part of the PDX purview, but a lot of planes have been having issues. And for some reason, a bit of them are landing at PDX. Like, I feel like that one Alaska plane whose panel flew off during the takeoff really just started this bit of a media frenzy where we're now everything that happens, we're aware of.
Yeah, on it.
Yeah, so I was curious. I mean, like United, I feel like every other day is having an issue, like windows cracking, engines on fire, nothing fatal, of course, but a lot of emergency landings, some at PDX. Like you said, you've worked at TSA, you work at a very busy airport. What we're seeing, is it the media like actually just paying more attention? Like, does that stuff happen all the time, like non-fatal accidents? Or is this is this just like, yeah, this isn't usual at all?
This is unusual. That stuff does not happen all the time. Now, I mentioned a minute ago that it will continue to be incredibly safe to fly at any airport. The FAA, who's in charge of the airspace and the regulations and stuff, is incredible about that. Airlines as well. A lot of these incidents I know that you've seen, they're quick on the corrective action and, what they're doing to make sure that these incidences don't happen again. As I mentioned, the airport, it's our job to make sure that there's a safe airfield and ground support when these things do happen. PDX, we have our own fire department, our own police department, which was my previous role before I came to this job. And so they're there as well as a support at the ready in case any of these things come up. But no, this is not something that happens all the time and some secret. No, it's a weird moment. And I know that FAA does a great job to reconcile that, and the airlines as well, to correct those actions and ensure that they don't happen again and people are still confident in flying, and they should be.
Right. Well, here are the last two questions, very important. I think the most important ones. What's your least favorite airport? We won't tell them. It'll stay here. Everyone listening, don't tell anybody.
Yeah,
Christopher's going to talk some shit right now. Shh. Okay, Chris, what's your least favorite airport?
I don't know that I have a least favorite. You know,
everybody has a least favorite airport.
I have a favorite. If you ask me that,
well, that was the second one. But first, we were going to go negative and end on a sweet note.
I don't know that I have a least favorite, honestly. You know, I'm super proud of what we do here at PDX. So before you even ask it, obviously, PDX is my fave.
Aside from PDX, what would be your favorite?
Aside from PDX, you know, I used to work at Reagan International there in DC. Mm-hmm. That was really fun, working, you know, right outside the Capitol and seeing all the congressionals come in and out and just being there in the National Capital Region. That was fun.
That's really cool. PDX is definitely my favorite. I also love Long Beach. I don't know if you've been to Long Beach. It's just like this junior little airport. It's really cute. Really not Atlanta. You don't hate Atlanta?
No. I mean, that's a big operation. And I don't know if this is part of the interview, but I'll say it anyway. I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan.
Oh, so you can't hate the airport?
I can't hate on ATL. I obviously can't hate on ATL.
Yeah. Well, Chris, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your love for what you do. And you are making me feel safer.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we talked about. I don't remember how the gun thing settled, to be honest. I'll have to check the tape. You're so charming that part of me is like, did he answer that question? I'm like, what happened to the gun? Did we figure it out? Like,
I thought we got through it.
Okay.
I feel good about it.
I'm like, expect some follow-ups, sir. But no, anyhow, thank you so much for all of your time. And yeah, maybe you'll see me. I'll be the one getting a bottle of wine ripped from my hand while I'm yelling, "This is theater."
I knew it. I knew you were going to say that. Loyal Legion is the answer, man. Loyal Legion.
That's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please share it with a friend, rate or leave us a review. It really does help us out. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.